All right, it's time to wrap this up. Some critiques of social control theory. Of course, the early versions were underdeveloped, and they could not be easily tested. Um, Another complaint about this particular set of theories is that it's better at predicting minor forms of deviance and crime than more serious forms of deviance and crime. Another problem is that the four bonds do not really predict future deviance. Um, Problem of self-control may be something that changes over time in one's life as opposed to set by the age of 7 to 8. Of course, we see some conflicting positions on this, depending on what set of theorists you're talking about. And individuals are assumed to be rational and weigh the costs and benefits behavior and can be restrained from engaging in deviance through successful bonds. This might be the biggest critique of this set of theories. The idea that individuals act rationally can be seriously challenged on a lot of different fronts. So, at least in my mind, this central tenet that individuals act rationally, if you don't accept that assumption, then this pretty much is not going to be a field of study that you're going to find agreement with. Back to this idea of deviance in the streets and the suites. And we can use this particular set of theories to look at teen runaways or throwaways. We can use it to understand how teens become homeless. We know they typically leave home due to family difficulties such as child and sexual abuse. And even though this is viewed as delinquent behavior, it often becomes an opportunity to victimize, especially females, when they find themselves out on the street as well. So for example, boys are just as likely to leave home as girls are, run away from home as girls are, but girls are much more likely to complain about sexual inappropriateness and abuse as a reason that they leave than are boys. And once girls find themselves on the street, they find themselves punished in addition to the sexual abuse that they had, and ultimately results in leaving the home. They are more likely to get in trouble when they're engaging in deviant behavior out on the street than boys are. You also want to be reminded that social control theory can be used to discuss the bonds and or lack of bonds that might cause a teen to run away. Deviance in the suites, on the other hand, they look at medical deviance and why doctors might engage in deviant behavior, even though that they have agreed to the Hippocratic Oath. The main types of deviance are fraud. This is typically the government is the victim due to Medicaid and Medicare fraud. So you can imagine there's going to be a lot of neutralization going on here. Another problem is unnecessary surgery. I was quite shocked to find that there were 7.5 million unnecessary surgeries conducted in the United States last year alone. This could be resulting in procedures not always necessarily seen as deviant. Now, a doctor could argue that they're proactive, while others might argue that they're going to wait and see. So, how we define these unnecessary surgeries as deviant or not deviant is going to determine what deviance is in reference to this category, and of course why medical physicians are engaging in that type of behavior. As I said, techniques of neutralization are going to be used to justify and rationalize why these doctors, who ultimately are pretty wealthy, are engaging in deviant behavior. And these ideas in action can be seen in reference to the Homeboy Industries. This is a great example of a program utilizing the tenets of social control theory. Homeboys in Industries is a gang intervention and reentry program, ultimately formed by Father Gregory Boyle in LA in 1988 as the Jobs for a Future. This started a program that gave job training and opportunity for social experience that focused on creating social bonds of conformity as discussed by Hershey, instead of the typical gang-oriented bonds that youth in South Central LA were more likely to engage in. So you create these positive social bonds of conformity, and then you set these young people on a different trajectory. And we see all kinds of examples of offshoots, business opportunities, and just life opportunities for these kids that would have normally found themselves embedded in gangs and engaged in deviant behavior pretty much their whole lives. So, yeah, that's social control theory. We'll keep moving on through these as the semester goes. Keep up the good work, folks. You're doing great, and I'll see you soon.